Good morning and welcome to the Better Thyself edition of Dr. Lamba's live comments. As a matter of fact, we have often seen people posing as something what they are not. Well, that can be accepted. People have a tendency to pose. But at times, there's a situation that then they are very successful. They are very ahead of the others. And yet, inside them, they feel that they are not what the people suppose them to be. There are two things. One is what you think yourself to be, and what people think you to be. And as a matter of fact, this feeling that you are not what people assume you to be, or that you have not deserved the success, that in a family you are not worth what regard is given to you. And these issues are extremely important because they undermine your capability to be yourself. They are an impediment into your being an authentic person. And this feeling like a fraud, which you have feeling yourself, plagues many successful people. You would be amazed to know that even Einstein at one time believed that he did not deserve the attention he was getting. The Nobel Prize winner novelist Maya Angelou had the feeling that she didn't deserve the prize. Now, this is a very common feeling. And let's be very clear, it's not a disease. It's not an abnormality. It's not connected with depression, anxiety, or self-esteem. It is a feeling, it's an experience, it's a belief. But that experience, that belief, is very difficult to be shaken off. Why is it that you have it? And why should you not have it? And if you have it, how to overcome it? These are the major issues that I like to delve into today. As a matter of fact, according to one psychologist, Cox, he says we should not call it a syndrome. Imposter syndrome is exactly not a syndrome because it downplays it and reduces how universal the feeling really is. When a feeling is almost universal, then it's not a syndrome, then it's a human habit. And it is across the globe, across the races, regardless of age, profession, race, color, and the country to which you belong. This feeling of being an imposter is quite a lot. And this imposter syndrome is missing in very few people. I'll give you an example. People call me an egoist, and I say, yes, I'm an egoist. If I was an imposter, then I'll say, no, I'm humble. As a matter of fact, the ideal example of imposter syndrome is David Copperfield's novel, in which one character, Uriah Heep, poses to be humble, very human, while he is a more selfish person. So this syndrome affects at least 80 to 90% people, maybe more even. And people who are, another aspect of this is that the people who are highly skilled, accomplished, tend to think that the others are just as skilled, and that gives them a feeling that maybe they're less skilled than they are. And then they feel that all the opportunities that have come, if they had gone to somebody else, he might have been more successful. So this possibility of others being more successful than what you are could have been is what creates and feeds imposter syndrome. As a matter of fact, there is a clear antithetical connectivity between authentic people and people who suffer from imposter syndrome. It's a pluralistic ignorance. The problem is we second guess ourselves privately, believe we are alone in our doubts because nobody voices your own thoughts. It's very tough to know how hard our peers work. Let's be very clear. We don't know what their accomplishments are. Since they also do not show their real self. And we always assume that maybe if we are exaggerating, or maybe we have achieved or reached a goal where we should not have reached had it been a perfect competition. That gives rise to imposter syndrome. And as I said, there are very few people in the world who can escape it. Only those people can escape it who have developed in them a capacity to acknowledge their weaknesses and not bother about them, rather they are able to talk. A greedy man, if he says he's greedy, then he's not an imposter. But a greedy man tries to show himself as a charitable person, then there's something definitely wrong somewhere. So how to end this imposter syndrome? There's a major issue. The first is start a conversation. The conversation need not be with other people. The conversation has to be with yourself. And the only sure way to find is to talk to your inner critic, your conscious, the constable placed inside you. And then discuss with that inner keeper of your morality what's going on in your mind. It sounds very simple, but it's not so. Many people hesitate to share with others, and most of all share with themselves how they feel. They may accept feedback from others, but they do not want any feedback from their real self. How many people are able to get up, look at themselves in the mirror, and tell themselves, look here, the actions you took do not befit your status, your qualification, your capabilities? How many people can discuss with themselves? They cannot. When they start discussing, they'll find a way to cover their actions. They will assume and talk and try to justify their actions. So this interaction, this conversation with your inner self, you have got to ensure that there is no justification. It's a plain dissection. And people often discuss their experiences or feelings like they don't belong. They learn others around them must have felt the same way. And learning from a mentor, now there's a $1 million question. Maybe you cannot talk to yourself. And if you cannot talk to yourself, then have a mentor or a trusted friend who has gone through the same phase. And the person can provide you with clarity and some relief. Being a patient or a sufferer of imposter syndrome is a huge burden. You deride yourself, you condemn yourself, you criticize yourself. It's an act of self-flagellation. Like in Muharram, the devotees beat themselves. The same way, the people suffering from imposter syndrome are beating themselves every day, every hour, every second. And that's why they need to talk to themselves, if not to a close friend, if they don't have a mentor. So there are two options: either have a good mentor or let your conscience be your mentor, and maybe you can get over it. Then Second part is collect your positive experience. Most of us, when they are given compliments for their work, for their looks, for their capabilities, receive them and toss them off. They don't care. Momentarily, they are happy. So next time somebody compliments you, somebody praises you, then allow yourself to appreciate what is being said. Your positive experience is an important arm, important weapon to enable you to overcome imposter syndrome. And this collected addition of your positive experience of the past would help you a lot. Do you know that once you are aware of this phenomena, you can combat your own monster inside you, the monster of imposter syndrome, by collecting and revising and revisiting that positive feedback. You should make a clear, concerted effort to listen and reflect on the words of encouragement that can help you soothe anxieties and also enables you to get over the syndrome and enjoy your accomplishment, enjoy your achievements. Finally realize you're not alone, as I said earlier. Having open conversation with yourself is first step, then you will automatically have a conversation with others. And when you have a conversation with others, it's a challenging others, because then you are talking about with each other about your infirmities, and then you will talk about the imposter syndrome as well. It is quite possible that the imposter syndrome may not actually fade, but the common experiences would help you realize that this is not something you are suffering from. You know, when you have a bypass and you are had it, then they have a group discussions and then they say how to live together. So same thing, you can do. Exchange the stories, exchange the experiences. Now, on the one side, you're talking to yourself to get over. Then you're collecting your positive experiences, and then you talk to the others suffering from the same. So there'll be empathy, there'll be compatibility, there'll be a common thought, and you will be able to get over that. As a matter of fact, you have got to ensure failure as opposed to competence is essential for building confidence. We do not like failure. As a matter of fact, failure should not be objected to. And it's our parents and our teachers who have to come here, because right from the childhood we are taught that failure is bad, and when we don't fail, and rather we deserve to fail and we are successful, then that's the beginning of the imposter syndrome. The first failure, when it's covered up, either by yourself or by your parents, is a sign of beginning of imposter syndrome. In many schools I have seen grace marks. You are failing by few marks, they give you marks to upgrade you. Because there's a rule, at least in India it was a rule, that nobody is supposed to fail even here. And that makes a child feel that he doesn't deserve. He has been gallivanting around. He has been enjoying life, and yet he is given the marks to pass which he should not have got it. And that begins the sad journey. So, at one point or other time, you might feel that you are an imposter. But think of your reality, think of your capabilities, and you will realize. And then secondly, it has gone largely undiscussed for the simple reason people don't want to talk of their weaknesses. As Sam mentioned, at least, as I said, 80% experience this feeling at one time or the other. But the people who are able to overcome this syndrome have no hesitation at admitting their faults ever. I'm greedy, yes. I'm money-minded, yes. I'm a Casanova, yes. I have a body appeal, yes. I'm intelligent, yes. I'm proud, yes. I used to have a radio program, and for 5 years it ran very well. And then one day, my host thought that it was a too long time, and he said, "Look here, you are very proud." I said, "Yes, I am. And why should I not be proud?" Look, this thing he controlled it, so we parted anyway. But then what I mean to say is that if you're aware of your points, weaknesses or strengths, then you don't suffer from imposter syndrome. When I'm aware of those qualities which people think to be bad, but I can convert those negative qualities into positive ones, then the imposter syndrome would be simply not there. So, this imposter syndrome, which would afflict you, if it is not, then either you are not aware or you are not thinking about it, but then it's there. So get over that. Talk about that to yourself and to your mentors. Have positive experiences. And then realize that, okay, you will fight it out. The demon would be dead then. So let the imposter syndrome be treated and let you realize and accept your weaknesses, convert them into strength, and then you won't suffer from imposter syndrome. Thank you.